Hi, I'm Melody. So I'm supposed to share my testimony this morning. So I brought my squirrel with me because when I saw this in the store, it reminded me of my testimony. And my daughter was with me and she said, "It's ugly, don't buy it." And I said, "Well, one, it reminds me of my testimony. And two, I needed to show her I was boss. So I bought the squirrel. I started out my church experience, my church life, my religious exposure, attending church every week, even before I was born. So we went regularly. My mom and I took 1 week off on Mother's Day for me to be born. And then right back the following Sunday, we were there every Sunday of my life. And so I grew up in the church and enjoyed it. I cut my teeth on a wooden church pew, literally and figuratively, and it was good. I attended a Pentecostal church that back in the day had Sunday morning service and Sunday night service. And for me, Sunday night service as I grew up looked like I would have my head in my mother's lap, my feet in my grandmother's lap. My grandma would pop my shoes off and rub my feet and tickle my toes, and I would stare at the ceiling and doze in and out. And one Sunday evening when I was 4, amid the toe tickling, the dozing off, and the staring at the ceiling, the sermon pierced my heart. And I was aware that I was a sinner. And so as he preached, I realized I lie. I get my older brother in trouble for things he hasn't done. I would disobey my parents. I was selfish. And I became aware I was going to hell for these things. There were consequences, and I was separated from God. And so we went home from church that night, and I didn't want to go to bed before having my parents pray with me because I was like, if I die in my sleep, I'm going to hell. And I didn't want that. And so they prayed with me. I asked the Lord into my heart, and things were good. After that, we continued to go to church every Sunday, and I loved it. I loved my home family. I loved my church and Christian family. And I would stand on my seat with them, loved the song services, would sing at the top of my lungs, all the hymns, the choruses, and just thought everything was wonderful. One exception. Whenever we would sing "In My Heart There Rings a Melody" or "Making Melody in My Heart," everyone in the congregation would turn at me and point and laugh. I would turn 500 shades of red, wish the ground would swallow me up, and wonder why my parents didn't give me a normal name. But you get saved young, you're still little. You need to grow, your mind needs to grow, your body needs to grow. My theology needed to grow. And so just one example, my dad was the worship leader. And that's right, did you figure it out? He was responsible for the frequency of the "In My Heart There Rings a Melody" and "Making Melody in Your Heart," and partially for giving me my name. So, but I was like in the car saying, "Dad, can we sing the nut song?" And part of the squirrel thing. And he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. There's no nut song." And I'm like, yeah, the one we sing. The squirrel didn't give it to me, and the squirrel can't take it away. Well, it turns out the song was not. I thought the song was about that we get our nuts from Jesus, and squirrels, along with the devil, can't take them away from us. So turns out the song is "The world didn't give it to me, and the world can't take it away." And it was about joy, not nuts. So I needed to grow from my nut theology into some better things. My parents, when I was in second grade, for Christmas, they gave me my very first Bible. It was my favorite Christmas gift that they gave me that year. And if I look back over the years, the best Christmas gift I was ever given anytime. And so this green cover came years later, but this Bible, I memorized all my verses from it. It's King James Version. It went to camp every summer. I won a lot of sword drills with this Bible. It went on a mission trip to Haiti, went to Bible college with me, but they gave me this Bible and it meant so much. So everything in our family centered around if God gives you something, it's for the purpose that you're to use it for his kingdom. And so I was in second grade. I was starting to learn how to read. And so now I needed to read for good purposes. So they gave me God's word. When they gave me this, I was blown away. I held it in my hands and I couldn't even believe. I experienced probably every emotion you can. So I was happy. I was thankful. I was in awe that the God who created the world would speak to us in a way that we could understand, and that in my hands I was holding the very words of God. And it blew me away. I was nervous. I was like, I'm a beginner reader. Can I actually read God's words? I can read see Dick, see Jane, that kind of stuff, but can I read God's words? So when everyone went home for all the Christmas celebration that night, I took the Bible in my room and I was scared and I started opening the pages and I got to Genesis and I was like, can I read? Can I read God's words? And I started, in the beginning, God created, and I was blown away. I could read God's words. With it, though, I was happy, I was thrilled, but I realized my parents also gave me the best gift ever, but a huge responsibility. Because I knew that when I started engaging the content of this book, there would be decision points. So, what am I going to do with it? I was going to encounter in this book the path of life, and I could either take it and I could follow the Lord, or I could be lackadaisical with it, or I could downright rebel against it. And whatever I would choose at every point that I came to this word, I did understand, even as a little kid, it was going to determine the path that I would go, for good or evil. And so I realized that my parents had also placed on me a huge responsibility with this book. And I knew even at the time it wasn't inspired, but there was a picture at the front of the book, and I always looked at it, and it showed God's creation of the world. He had created it, and then it has this like spirit-like hand over it all. And how I understood it was God created the world, but he didn't leave it. He didn't just let it go on its own course, but he's always superintending it, and his love and his care is there, and he has a plan, and he's unfolding it, and he's looking after everyone. And that meant so much to me then, and it always has. And as I encountered God in his word through the years, I developed my own worldview out of it that became a standard that I could put my back against, and a lens I could see everything that happened in my life, whether painful or joyful or whatever. And it basically came down to, there is a God. He's the God defined in the Bible. And he has a plan. It's not just haphazard things happening willy-nilly. He's in control of that plan. So nothing's getting out of his control. And then the final thing that seals it all together, no matter what happens, painful, difficult, hard, it's that he loves me beyond my wildest imagining. And he loves all of us and all of you beyond our wildest imagining. And we put our back against that, it really gives us hope and stability in this world. And so, again, thankful for the life God has given me, both with my physical family and also with my church family.
If you like what you're hearing today, please subscribe below, and don't forget to share it on as many platforms as you can, and tell your friends to watch. Thank you.